As a mom, have you been wondering this? How can I get my teenage son to eat my healthy meals? I'm Vicki Jenkins.
And I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. We're going to share the psychology behind this and give you some practical things that you can try right now. First, a little teen psychology. Can we start there?
That could be interesting.
When we understand how teens think, we can interact with them in ways that are more teen-friendly. And really, it comes down to control and maturity. We teach this in our parent coaching.
We do.
Where it's important to understand as you gain maturity, you also get to have more control.
Take, for example, a little baby. They're not very mature. They can't feed themselves. They can't get dressed. They're just not mature. They cry all the time when they want something. They throw fits, right? And they don't have a lot of control in their life.
Somebody has to step in
Right.
and control their life for them.
Definitely.
This doesn't always serve us well as parents because those little babies don't stay little babies. They grow up, they gain maturity. And as kids gain maturity, they also take more control, whether we want to share it with them or not.
Now, just a really quick distinction. Maturity isn't exactly in sync with age progression, okay?
Right.
So a lot of the times, obviously a baby is crying in the middle of the night saying, I'm hungry, and they don't care about what anyone else is thinking, right? And we deal with that. We go and we take care of them. They don't have control. We take the control in their lives. And it's a very different story if your 16-year-old is running around playing music at 3 a.m. because they are only thinking of themselves. So we're talking how maturity is it varies. It doesn't always follow age progression, but the control goes with the maturity. So that's kind of why we're saying we need to understand where maturity is so we know how much control that child has.
Without getting into all of the details about that, just cue up that next video, which will tell you everything that you need to know as a parent of a teen and get more into the teenager psychology. It's important to understand the control and maturity because we don't want to make eating a control battle. I have 3 basic rules for control battles. Avoid them.
Right.
Don't get into them if you don't have to. If you can't avoid them, win them. And that is done by the 3rd rule, which is you pick the issues.
We don't want to pack eating and food with a lot of emotional power that they may later have to figure out how to unpack.
Well, there's a lot of issues around this.
Right.
And we look at some of the obesity problems, for example, that we face as a culture, that it goes back to some of our emotional issues around food. And that's why we want to be kind of careful with this so that it doesn't carry a lot of emotional energy.
You know, taking some of the emotional part out of this is even changing the words that we used at the beginning. We said, how can I get my teenager to eat my healthy meals? Just even saying them as healthy is kind of adding a little bit of an emotional tag to it. So we have got a great help for you. These are some great recipes that we think your teenage son will like. So instead of just getting our teenagers to eat my healthy meals, just to eat the meals that I prepare.
You're the one that cares about healthy. They're caring about something else.
They want their tummies full.
Okay, they want their tummies full or they want something that's going to be appealing to them. Go grab those recipes. We can save you some time with that. drpauljenkins.com/recipes.
You're going to want these recipes. It's my sister who put them together, and she is so much better cook than I am.
I love, Vicki, that you indicated that we can take the emotional energy out of it. Maybe the word healthy doesn't have to be included there. We're creating an enticement and an invitation. If you think of it that way, the food that you're creating, the nutritional value matters to you. The pleasing nature of it is what's going to probably matter to your teenager. Okay, let's get down to some of the nitty-gritty here because this becomes more of an issue in some families than it is in others.
Right.
And remembering what we said about control and maturity. If your teenager is not exercising the level of maturity that they can make wise decisions about what they consume, then probably you're going to have to take a little higher level of control over what they have access to.
I've got a more extreme case to illustrate the point. I have a nephew who is a grown man, but his intellectual cognitive functioning is much lower than his age. And he came up with some real severe issues with his digestive system. And in order to approach the care that he needed to help him get healthy, they needed to really, really monitor what he ate. And he doesn't have the cognitive ability, again, we're talking maturity and control, to really control what he's eating, right? So my sister-in-law and her daughters, in whose home this boy spends a lot of time, this man, they had to put a lock on their pantries so that the only food that was available to him were the ones that were going to help him maintain the level of health that he needed. Now, we're not necessarily talking about that for your kids, but there is some wisdom in that. If you want your kids to stop eating certain foods, then perhaps you shouldn't have them in your home or limit their access to that food.
That seems so simple.
Right.
And simple and easy are not the same thing, okay? Because we get used to our patterns and our habits. We tend to train each other.
And teenagers, they can brew a pretty big storm when you change things on them. Yeah. So just be aware that might be coming.
I like that you use the example of our nephew, because with severe developmental disabilities, he doesn't have the level of maturity to monitor his own behavior, let alone understand issues around nutrition and proper eating. And so the parents have to take control over that, even though he's 30 years old. So it's not about age, it's about stage. And if your teenager is in a stage where they're willing to cooperate and communicate with you, then we have a whole different set of interventions that we can use. We can engage them in conversation. Right. If they're not cooperating, you have to take control, and it might mean locking the pantry. Certainly being selective about the kind of food you make available within your home. And
even just increasing the types of foods that might help fill them up, that are on a more healthy side of the spectrum, having that available in abundance. Now, I am going to say we're talking about teenage boys. Do not forget that they have a voracious appetite. I had three teenage boys that there was a period of time. You know, my mother had 3 teenage boys, and she tells me the story of going to my dad and saying, I can't do it. I can't stay in the budget. I can't feed them enough. And my dad said, throw the budget away. Just keep them full for a while. Because these 3 teenage boys, all about a year and a half apart, it was just more than she could do. So just realize they need the food. They need food available to them. And you, as mom, get to choose what you make available.
Right. Vicki, you said something earlier about not having too much emotional energy behind all of this. I think one of the ways we do that is detaching from the outcomes.
You know, you might even want to be curious about why this is important to you in the first place. And then you can realize that it might be your issue as well as their issue. I don't know. But if you can get to the point where you understand where you're coming from and you can see your child as a person separate from the outcome of their food choices, you're going to go a lot further and be able to enjoy your child.
You know, along those lines, Vicki, we got way too many opportunities for conflict. We don't have to make this one of them. And if you can detach from the outcomes enough that you go right back to what you just said, that relationship, focus your emotional energy on building the relationship. And you can choose to enjoy your teenager. You know, I shared this with some of the moms in a group that I'm running right now. It's like they were surprised by that very idea.
Wait, you could enjoy them?
Wait, I could, because they were stuck in this thought pattern of conflict, and it's us against them, and all of the crazy stuff that damages our relationships with our teens. And as I saw the lights go on with these moms, I had these 4 moms in a group, and they were just like, what? That is a game changer. We can really choose to enjoy our teenager. You can. You can actually make that choice. In fact, just try it right now. Just say it. I choose to enjoy my teenager. Did you say it? Saying it changes something in your thinking, and it opens up new possibilities. We've got plenty to be conflicted about. Let's have some fun while we're at it. Remember, we've got 5 healthy recipes that are sure to be a hit with your teenager. Go check that out, drpauljenkins.com/recipes. Just let us know where to send it.